former acting director of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and a Fox News contributor. And in all candor, Tom, before Will and I went on and did Off the Wall about this cocaine in the White House, we asked you, because you spent a lot of time there, talk to your sense based on understanding the location of what this might be.
Well, they should know who even comes near the Situation Room, right? I've been to the White House many times, been in the Situation Room many times. Under the Trump administration, when you go to the Situation Room, there's someone that controls access. So you got to log in, plus he also makes sure you leave all electronics locked up into a cabinet. So if they're following secure protocols that are established, then they should know who had access to the Situation Room. Even if they didn't, there's cameras everywhere. From the time you walk in the door, any hallway you walk down, you're being surveilled. So there should be no difficulty in see who had access to that area at a certain time.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to assume they knew on Sunday night, after they found the cocaine, they could access those cameras. We're sitting here, and I had said earlier on TV, if you walked out of this building, there'd be cameras in every corner, and I see 3 on that corner, I see 1 on that corner. It's modern-day America, much less the White House. You're on camera. We can solve the crime.
Right. In a Situation Room, like I say, limited access. I mean, every meeting I went to in a Situation Room, you had a minimum of a secret clearance. Most had top secret clearance. I had a top secret SCI. So it's very controlled environment. So they should know exactly who was in that area.
Well, the story also has changed over the course of this past few days. The original 911 dispatch call said that the cocaine was found in the library, and then we heard it was in the West Wing where tourists are, and now we're hearing it's closer to the Situation Room. Are those 3 locations close to each other?
The library is a walk away, but the Situation Room is right at the entrance. You come into the lower level of the White House, there's a desk there, again, logging everybody in. Then you turn to the right. There's a Navy mess and there's a Situation Room. Really close proximity there.
You know, there's the proximity right there. And what type of people are coming in through that VIP? They call it a VIP entrance, it's near the Vice President's hallway, but could it be anybody coming in? I mean, that road between the Executive Office Building and that West Wing entrance is pretty heavily trafficked.
Not many people come to that entrance, right? It's a VIP entrance. So like the Secretary of Homeland Security, that's where security detail leads them off. The upper entrance is the public entrance. That's where you come in and sign in, and that's just down the hall from the Oval Office. So if you have a meeting with the President or the Vice President, or you need to go to the Roosevelt Room, you go into the upper public entrance. The entrance that you and I talked about near the Situation Room, very few people have access to it. You got to have pre-approval to come into the access.
I want to move to this, Tom. Sad story. Story of an Afghan interpreter who helped American forces in Afghanistan for, I think it was close to 10
Almost
years.
20 years.
20 years. Ultimately got out of Afghanistan, moved to America, ended up in Philadelphia, didn't like the crime rate in Philadelphia, moved to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Sadly, driving a Lyft, he was carjacked, four individuals, I think, most likely juveniles, and he was killed. What does this say, yes, about our crime policies, about the Washington, D.C. area, but what does this say about America?
Well, Pete knows better than I do, but these interpreters, they put their lives on the line for the success of this country in Afghanistan, and thousands of them were abandoned by this administration, as we know. He was lucky and got to the U.S. with his family, but he was abandoned here. You know, the government didn't offer assistance to him, his or his family. What's happening in D.C. is what's happening in New York. It's run by a Democrat mayor who's a sanctuary city. So if you ask yourself, are they doing everything they can to reduce the crime rate? No, because a certain percentage of criminals are in the country illegally. They can commit a crime in Washington, D.C., a serious crime, and they don't work with ICE. They won't turn them over to ICE, just like New York City. We used to have a dozen agents assigned to Rikers Island here. Every week, we would remove hundreds of criminal aliens from New York. Not only remove them from New York, remove them from the country so they can't recommit an offense. But these sanctuary cities release criminal aliens right back to the street to reoffend. There's another, I'm not saying illegal alien killed this soldier, but Washington, D.C. crime rate is very high, but they're not doing enough to solve the crisis.
But your point is also well taken in that illegals coming to this country are being put up in hotel rooms around us here, getting perks, whereas this Afghan interpreter who gave his life for U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan, he's having to work his tail off legally just to make a living. Yeah, they're keeping illegal aliens in hotel rooms at $300 to $500 a night, while there's thousands of empty ICE beds already paid for by the taxpayer at $117 a night.
Why do they not detain them in ICE facility? Because the Homeland Security report, the report comes out it's a decade report, says this. If you're in ICE detention, you lose your case, you're removed 99.7% of the time. If you're not in ICE detention, you leave 6% of the time. This is why they're not putting them in ICE detention. Not only are they letting them all in, they don't want them to leave.
Well, there's also this when it comes to illegal immigration. California Governor Gavin Newsom, he's calling on the DOJ to investigate Ron DeSantis' transport of illegal immigrants to California. The Border Patrol sources are telling you that migrant deaths at the border have reached a record high. Two topics there. First, to Governor DeSantis and Gavin Newsom and their constant back and forth. How do you feel about the shipping of these migrants to California?
Well, Governor Newsom will investigate the Biden administration because they've moved thousands upon thousands of illegal aliens in the state of California. He hasn't said a word about that. But when the Republican governor does it, all of a sudden he's concerned. Well, that's the same governor in 2019 that went to El Salvador and welcomed those migrants to come to California. Then when he got back to California, he signed AB 72, a law in California which gave millions of dollars to illegal aliens who are claiming asylum that are staying in California. His policies are a pull factor amongst a bunch of other sanctuary jurisdictions. It's a pull factor why people come. If they can get to California, they can get driver's license, they can get money to help fight the immigration case, they get medical care. Why wouldn't you go to California if you're an illegal alien? You're protected.
Ron DeSantis versus Gavin Newsom, tail of the tape in this battle royale. It's just an absolute slaughter. I mean, look at the policies and forget it. Look where people have moved. Legal American immigrants. Look where they've moved. And I believe the number is over 300,000 have left California and 300,000 have gone to Florida.
And of all the things they want the DOJ to investigate, they're calling on the Department of Justice to look into this. When you pointed out, the facilitation of illegality has been run by our own executive branch.
Exactly. You know, and Ron DeSantis, look, he's doing a great job as governor of Florida, but every policy he's talking about now, it's a Trump policy. You know, we not only talk the talk under Trump, we walk the walk. Under President Trump, illegal immigration was at a 45-year low, down 83%, unprecedented. And the only thing that upsets me about Ron DeSantis, he talks about he could have done more. We built 465 miles of wall. President Trump did things. I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. No president has done more to secure this nation, protect this country than Donald Trump. Regardless if you like him or not, you can't deny the unprecedented success he had on our border that saved lives.
Tom Homan, always great to talk this morning on a whole host of topics. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Good
Thanks,
seeing
Tom.
you.
All right.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.